Yo, what is going on, guys? Freaky Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now with that being in and out of the way, guys, we can finally get started with what we're looking at for the week. As far as earnings go, with what we usually start with, not seeing too much. We have ZM reporting on Monday after close. I haven't looked at that stock since COVID, so yeah, don't know what's been going on with that stock. Maybe that could be something that we could look at after earnings to see if that has any nice moves. But besides Zoom, the only other stock that I could see having some potential for an after earnings play would be Crowd. Same thing with Crowd, obviously not with, what I just said, but I haven't looked at that ever since the crash they had with the whole Microsoft system and that whole mess when we started catching up to the downside. So not too much going on here for this week as far as earnings. Crowd will definitely be the one I'll keep an eye out for and see if we have any kind of after earnings move with that. So, of course, your guys' favorite part of the entire video is obviously the watch list. So going into this week, looking at ES and NQ, they are set up relatively the same way in the sense that we're setting up more towards the upside than we are to the downside. As far as ES goes here, if I am interested to the downside, it's not anywhere till 5,900, so we're still pretty far away from that. But I will mention that we do have a trend line from the bottom side on the 4-hour that breaks around 5,940. So if we happen to break that trend and see some downside, that could be a reason why. But for the meantime, we're currently set up more around near the highs at around 6,000. After 6,000, I have room up to 6,035. So those are going to be the two areas I'll be watching on ES as far as the upside goes. And like I had mentioned, just with NQ is set up relatively the same exact way as ES. So you can see here, as far as the downside goes, obviously we don't have a 4-hour trend line that I could see that could match ES. But as far as the downside, I'm looking at 20,000 primarily if we ever come back down there. But the area to look at that before that will be 20,400. But as far as the upside goes, since that is what we're set up more around at the current moment, we'll be at 21,000. After 21,000, I'll be looking at the 21,300 area. Why is it a wide range? It's because there's really no specific spots yet that NQ has really set up anywhere for me to look at for any resistance levels. So pretty much just these whole key level numbers, these psychological levels, areas are what I'm going to be primarily focused on NQ, since you usually find some sort of support / resistance around those areas. So for the meantime, that's what I'll be focused on for now. And then as far as the main watch list goes, I only have 2 stocks for this week, guys. Not too much has been cooking. I have other side watch list setups. Those are specifically saved for stock hours, though. So I'll be saving that for the chat and seeing if they can capitalize on those for setups for the future. So first things first is NVIDIA. Absolute craziest play I've had to date myself with this trade. Best trade I've had ever. I made around 7,000 on it, which was pretty sick. You guys will get a video on that in the far future, not too early just yet. Let me know in the comments though if you guys are interested in seeing that live trade though. But besides NVIDIA here, we had a blow off top, broke all-time highs by $3, and we ended up coming all the way back down, almost to. We broke low of day that morning. I remember we ended up making a low at around 141ish. That is pretty crazy for a stock like NVIDIA. What is it, a $10 drawback on an all-time high break? Absolutely insane. As far as NVIDIA goes, though, you guys can already see on the 4-hour or the 1-hour here, we have a trend line that is currently developing that we rejected multiple times off of that ends up giving us room to roughly around 139.30, 139.50ish. So the way I'm looking to play this is obviously I'll be looking to play this at the 140 area. Reason why 140 is because this is from earnings, this wick that we had right here. So I'm not really too bothered about that wick just yet. But I think 140 is a valid area to keep an eye out for and playing that break into the trendline break. Now, obviously, there's 2 ways you can trade this. You can either sell before the trendline break in case you just want to just be safe of the volatility or the risk of it bouncing from that trendline like we have been previously. Or you can play 140 into the trendline break in the expectation that it'll break that trendline and have some continuation coming to the downside. So only downside to this setup compared to ES and NQ is obviously this is a setup catered towards the downside, not the upside of how where ES and NQ are currently setting up. Now that doesn't mean that NVIDIA won't happen, but it just makes the setup a little bit trickier when it comes to looking at a setup like this. So that's NVIDIA right there in a nutshell. And last but not least, our favorite stock in the channel is Tesla. Tesla, there's two ways we can look at this. Obviously, we can look at the downside. Downside is really far away at this point, $20 away. We have a gap that's around $5 to $6 from 330 all the way down to 324.60, so roughly $5. But the biggest thing is to note is that Tesla has finally broken out of the consolidation it's been in. Fortunately, I wasn't around to catch it. I was out and about. It is what it is, though. Next area I'll be watching on Tesla is 355. That is around 355 to 356. That is the area where they ended up holding Tesla the entire day. Now some people may ask me, why don't you look at 360 or anything above here? Well, because it was a misprint. Misprints are just it's like an error order that accidentally went through that gets filled at a higher price without it actually being executed. It's just a misprint. So the candle just happens to have a weird wick like that. It doesn't mean it actually happened. So same thing with this candle right here. Just a misprint as well with that. So as far as the entire day goes, I will be looking at 355 though, 355 to 356, and see if we can get some sort of momentum above that. If not, if we happen to gap over this over the weekend, then I'll be looking at 360. After 360, I'll be looking at 363 on Tesla. Now that we're finally out of the consolidation that we've been in for this entire week, we can finally get some momentum going on here. Now, the other thing that I want to mention before I hop off here, because these are the only two setups that I'm watching, is it is Thanksgiving this week. Thursday, the market is closed, and then on Friday, I believe it is a half day. So it's a 3 days and a half for this week. 3 complete days and then a half day, which is, at that point, just half a day, right? So three and a half full days of trading that we have lined up for us. These weeks, you do tend to get some lower volume. Market tends to be a little bit choppier, not as much follow through because it's the holidays, and there just isn't as much volume trading in the market in general. So that doesn't mean that that maybe you should size down, maybe you should go light. For newer people, I would recommend that, but if you're at my level or anywhere near at the point of profitability, and understand that it's okay to stick with the same size as long as your setup and opportunities that you like to take advantage of are presentable. So for me, like I said, I'm not going to size down. If the right setup comes around, I'm going to size up on it, or just not even size up on it, but go in with a normal position size and execute that as I normally would. So maybe stricter targets because there is less volume, so there could be less follow through, but that is something that I wanted to mention before hopping off here and then letting you guys off with that tip. But with that much more being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it at stock hours. And with that much more being said, hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your weekend, and you guys have a safe week and safe holidays. Peace out.